Hi, you're very welcome to this afternoon's Excel snack delivered by me, Anne Walsh, on the truly riveting, bodice-ripping, adrenaline rush topic of the Vlookup. So let me, as they say, start with the show. And let me just, there's now a second until I just share my screen. Okay, so here we go. So this is actually an Excel, what I would call kind of an Excel superpower. Basically, it allows you to kind of put all kinds of bits and pieces together. It's also 20 minutes of Excel goodness. So this is a place for you to activate your inner Wonder Woman, your inner Superman, or even ask yourself, what is your personal superpower? Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm Anne Walsh. I live in the west of Ireland. Today, it's a dull day. It has been raining. What a surprise, right? My website is theexcelexpert.com, which is where you might have signed up for this or somewhere else. I've been a freelance trainer since the mid-1990s. You know, that's a good bit of time. I'm the author of Your Excel Survival Kit, Your Guide to Surviving and Thriving in an Excel World, which has now gone into its second edition and available in all good bookshops. Well, maybe not so much the good bookshops, but certainly on Amazon.com, right? I've also written a number of books for an organization called Bookboon, called Create Great Reports in Excel, Get and Transform Data, Create Great Reports in Word, How to Track Your Training Records in Excel. And there's a book on Pivot Table, which is in, as I say, pre-production with Bookboon at the moment. And I have another couple of them into the pipeline. I love movies, I love puns, the worse the better. I love crime fiction. More recently, I've kind of got into doing jigsaws and podcasts. I'll often combine the two of them. Married for over 27 years. I have one son who's a software engineer, and he is the lovely person, Laura here, who is my producer and his software engineer. And I think for that one, you can actually blame his mother because, you know, mothers get blamed for everything. Okay, so what are we going to look at today in this one? What are we going to learn? Okay, what to use it for? Okay, and I picked two specific things, case scenarios, the basic structure of it, and it has its little idiosyncrasies and quirks. Okay. Let's look at those. Okay, some other stuff. Yes, this will be recorded and it's going to be sent out afterwards with the file. So you can sort out that probably will be kind of either in the next couple of days. If this is the second in the current series, there's another two that are running in September, this September 2021, and the details will be in the email that I sent to you. You can also check on the website, you can register there for them, all free, you can say, and you can also ask questions in the chat. Okay. So what does the Vlookup allow you to do? Okay. Now, first of all, for those of you who are curious, the V in Vlookup stands for vertical. And as I always like to say, I'm waiting for the day when on the chase, they actually say, what does the V in Vlookup mean? It means vertical. So there's two main things that it kind of does, all right, broadly speaking. This is not everything, but broadly speaking, it allows you to compare and it allows you to combine, all right? So it allows you, for example, to compare the ubiquitous apples and oranges. I don't know why people always pick those fruit, but they do. And also to link data sets together. And those are the two scenarios that we're actually going to be looking at today, right? And it's always going to be like your data sets, okay? So before we begin, the first thing you need to know about all this is that you must have what they call a matching field. There has to be something in common between the two data sets. Okay, that could be anything like an invoice number, a transaction number, staff ID, whatever it is. There have to be something in common. Sometimes you might have to kind of combine them a little bit if you need to, so be it. But generally speaking, you have to have kind of something in common with them. Okay. It has a few little quirks. Vlookup is one of the oldest functions in Excel. I think it was originally developed in Lotus 123, which is a rocker from the locker, back in the days when spreadsheets came in two colors, bright orange or green. That was it. And you had to basically use the slash thing on your keyboard to do any kind of navigation on it. They have to be the same data type. So if you have one that's formatted as numbers and the other is text, even if they look identical, the Excel will say, you've got nothing in common, I'm out of here. All right. They can be in different locations, same worksheet, different files, etc. And spaces do make a difference because they have to be exactly the same. All right. So now that I've whetted your appetite for this true Excel delight, let's have a look at the basic structure of it. All right. And I'm just going to, okay. And I'm just going to go to the next. Let me just pause here now for a second. Okay. All right. So let me just go back to the basic structure again. Okay. So here it is, the lookup value. What's the item you want to find a match for? The second bit of it is called the table array, where's the list that has the data you're missing. All right, so you're trying to kind of, okay, start your formula, and you've got your lookup value. You then go to the place where all the bits are missing. The table array list, what is the number of the column that has the matching bit? Starting left to right, making 1 the first column. All right, so yeah, so always like the first column, and the first column of your table array has to be whatever's the matchy bit. And then the last bit then is the range lookup. So if you don't know, even by default it's left blank, which is true. Generally speaking, in probably 80 to 90% of cases, you're going to be putting in 0 or false, which means you want an exact match, which, as I always like to say, means you activate your inner Liam Neeson and say, I'm going to hunt up and down that list until I find you. Whether or not you have a special set of skills is another question, but what you're going to do. Whereas true says, I expect that list to be organized in ascending order from small to big, number 1. Number 2, I'm going to look at the one that finds the closest match. If I find something that looks remotely like it, in like flame. All right, so that's so if you're not sure which one to use, you should use 0 or false. Okay. So okay, first of all, the lookup value has to be to the left, above or below your formula. It doesn't work to the right. Having said that, though, I do remember doing this the other day with a more recent version of the Vlookup, and in fact, yes, it did. So go figure. The first column of this has to be what you're matching your data set on. The column index number, you use the number of the column, like 1, 2, or 3. You can highlight the column and it doesn't work. At least in the vast majority of cases I've seen, it hasn't worked. Every now and then somebody says to me, well, it worked for me. So that's fine. Okay. And again, if you're not sure, just use 0 or false. All right. Now, so let's have a demo at this point. Okay. Laura, any questions? Hi, Aisling, you're welcome. Just saying hello to everybody as they come in. No question at the moment. All right, so let me just go now to a comparison scenario. All right, so in this particular file, let me just check my share here for a second. Ah, yeah, there we go. There we go. All right, so here you have a scenario. We're doing the comparison bit first of all. So I've got compare May, compare January, and then I've got combined customer key and combined email. So here I have a scenario where what I want to do is that I've got a list of provider codes in May. I've also got a list of provider codes in January, right? And what I want to see, if I go over here to January, is are all the January codes in May and vice versa? Or are there any that I have in January that are not in May? So I go up here to formulas, look up in reference, down to Vlookup. There it is, Vlookup. So the thing that's in common, all right, in this case, there's only one thing, scenario in common. Let me just cancel this for a second. Okay, is the provider code. So click on the provider code over here, and it comes up as that format because this has been formatted, I think, called a table. The table array will be over in the other location, May, and I just highlight column May. There's just one column in it, and it's going to be column 1, and I say 0. Now, if you notice here, it's giving me a number. So you kind of know that if you start to see something here, you're kind of on track. And if I put in 0, you see there it actually changes because it's now looking for an exact match. And then I click OK. Okay, there you go. Oh, God bless you, Excel. It's giving me conniptions now. There we go. All right. Now, if I scroll down here, you can see that it's found a match. But if I scroll down here, all right, remember I'm in January. So come down to this one. This is in January, all right, but it's not in May. And that would be kind of, so that allows you to kind of compare the two data sets, and then essentially you do the same thing on the other side. Right? So then you'd know, okay, what's in one and not in the other. And for additional marks, what you could do is wrap an if error around it and also apply conditional formatting. all right, which we'll be covering in one of the later sessions, later Excel snacks. The other thing you do is kind of combine it, okay? So here I've got a list of customer keys, customer ID numbers, and then I've got my combine over here. And over here, I've got my list of my customer keys. I've got their first name, last name, birth date, and I want to put in their email address. All fake email address I hate to add. Okay. A couple of things. First of all, identify the thing that's in common is the customer key, right? And it may or may not have the same name. In this case, it does. The second thing I want you to notice here is if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the email address is column number 5. So that's what I'm going to need in the formula. So I go back to my combined customer key. I click over here, and then I go up to lookup and reference, go down to my Vlookup, okay, across, look up the customer key. I go down into my table array, which is down here, the column. What I do is I highlight all 5 columns, right? And just notice, well, the first column of this table array is the customer key, the thing that it's matched on. Now, because I've said I'm going to say this is false, it doesn't actually matter what order this is done in. All right, it could be in alphabetical A to Z, largest, smallest, doesn't matter. And remember, I mentioned that was column number 5. So I put in 5, and then I put in false or 0. So you can use either interchangeably. Sometimes I use false, sometimes I use 0, and then I click OK. Okay. Excel is having a few conniptions here again. Eventually it will work. Press enter and then double click to copy it down. All right. So you can see there it actually just builds in all the ones for me. Right. Now, the other last thing that I'm just going to mention here as well, I'll just go back to my comparison here on this one, right, is that you can also use an if-error function as well. So I'm just going to mention that now as well, all right, before we kind of sort of wrap it up. So the if-error function means that instead of, if I look over here and I filter, you see there, if I scroll down, bottom, I get NA, what I call the infamous NAS that you kind of get with VLOOKUPs, basically where it can't find a match. And I can also use an if-error function with this that will kind of say, if you find a NA, put this instead of it. So I click up at the top. You don't click where you see the error. What you do is you click at the top. I go up here to the formula bar, and I slide the cursor between the equals and the V. And I type in if error. And when I do, this comes up automatically. And then I go over here, as I go right of the red, comma, I'm just going to type in no match. And then close my brackets. Remember, you have to have matching brackets. Okay. Now, when I come over here and I highlight this one, there it is, no match. It's automatically flagged the ones that have no match for me. Now just clear my filter. Okay. All right. So at this point, I just want to see, has anybody got any questions at this point? Any questions? Any questions in the chat, Laura, that you can see? Stop share for a second. So far, so good. All right. Okay, that kind of gives you the basics of your VLOOKUP. Now, we can also have, as an alternative, that you can also have a thing called index match. And there's the other one, that I like to call the new kid on the block, XLOOKUP, which, you know, as I always like to call it, is the love child of index match, VLOOKUP, and if error. 3 of them got together and had an Excel baby. It will be called XLOOKUP. Right? And at this point, let me just kind of go back now to this one. I'm just going to talk for a few minutes about the next upcoming Excel snacks. Okay. Okay, so we've got upcoming 2 more that I've got in, if you like, in the pipeline for this. Always on Friday at 12:40, like I call it 20 minutes of Excel goodness. The next one is going to be next Friday, and it's going to be putting it all together with a pivot table. All right, the one that's everybody's favorite. All right, The next one then is going to be, the last one for this session is going to be conditional formatting and a dash of it. Or as I like to call it, cosmetically enhance your data with conditional formatting and a dash of if. Okay. So just to say to you again, this will be recorded, the recording and the file will be sent out to you after the session, and also details of upcoming emails and so on. All right. Okay, now we're actually 5 minutes early, so it was actually less than 20 minutes, which is I'm pleased with. Right. Any questions or comments before we wrap it up 5 minutes early?
Just thanks, Anne.
All right, you're very welcome, Ashley.
To get the file and practicing. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. You'll get the file. That'll be on the way to you. All right. Okie dokie then. That is lovely, and I look forward to seeing some other ones. Okay, mind yourself. Take care. Bye.